What's happening, friends? Welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. I am Rob Johnson. We have another great show for you today with I will say, a very well-known business with historical prominence in Livingston County. So joining me in the studio today is Jim Gilligan of Snedicors Cleaners. Welcome, sir.
Hi, Rob. Wonderful to be here as always.
Yes, sir. Good to see you again. How have you been?
Too. I've been pretty well, Can't complain. Still alive and kicking after a couple of crazy years with COVID and everything. And it's a beautiful sunny day today, so doing
Absolutely.
well. Yeah.
Well, I will say, Jim, if people don't know you personally, I guarantee they've seen your trucks driving about Livingston County. So just for the folks that might not be familiar with the Snedicors brand, why don't you give us 30 to 60 seconds on the historical prominence of the company, and then we'll dive into some more details.
Sure, yeah. Well, we can trace the history back to at least 1914, so 108 years ago. There's pictures from that date in the Livingston County Historical Society archives, and operated for almost 106 years at our original location in downtown Howell on Michigan Avenue. Snedicors, originally, the family, actually, they were in the business of buying eggs and poultry from local farmers, repackaging it for resale, and then selling it to mom and pop groceries up and down Grand River from a horse-drawn wagon.
Really?
By the early 20s, they were kind of getting pushed out because the A&Ps and Krogers were coming in, and so they were looking for a business. And in 1924, I believe, they bought Howell Cleaners, Dyers, Laundry, and Rug Works.
They do it all.
Named at that point, yeah. And then they changed the name to Snedicors Cleaners in 1927. Over the years, we've had different stores in Livingston County. We've had vans as long as I know. And now in 2022, we are a pickup and delivery only company. So.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really unique. When we had first crossed paths, it was on a different show that records out of here. But there was something that was really interesting to how you shifted the framework of the business from going from a traditional brick and mortar to a mobile service. Give me a breakdown on how that came about.
Well, we knew when the lockdown order for COVID came down, almost exactly 2 years ago, end of March of 2020. We could have kept our 2 stores open because dry cleaning was considered an essential service. But I knew that the stores would be like ghost towns, and that business was going to go down because everyone was staying home. And it was a pretty freaky time. People were kind of freaking out. So I decided, because I'd been kind of doing the math in my head anyway, that the delivery side, we already did about a third of our business out of one of our delivery vans, was more efficient and frankly more profitable than having brick and mortar stores. So
Sure.
I made the decision to close our 2 brick and mortar stores and convert to a pickup and delivery only model. And we now have 3 vans on the road. Today we served over 150 people. We probably picked up about 500 pieces that we will process tomorrow and then deliver back to these customers in the next couple of days.
Was that a difficult decision to make it from brick and mortar to mobile?
Well, for me, it was a pretty easy decision. The thing is, after the decision, waking up at 3 a.m. going, oh my God, what have I done? There were some interesting times and a lot of things I didn't think about. All the logistics of running a store, say our store we had on Grand River in Brighton, you don't realize all the accounts and all the different out there on the interwebs, all the locations that still point to that I'm still trying to, get pointed to our delivery service. So there's a lot that goes into it, but 2 years later, it's the best business move I've ever made.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of business owners have this idea of you have this established business. There's ties back, almost 110 years ago, and you have this model that was successful, and then you're faced with something new like COVID, and something that people haven't. There's really no playbook on how to prepare and run a business during a pandemic, and making this call to say, we're going to go mobile only, like that takes a lot of courage to say, not only are we faced with a pandemic, but I'm going to shift my business model as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I drew a line in the sand, and I knew that some customers would not come on board, but I knew a lot of customers would. We had customers who'd been coming to our stores for decades, people in their 70s, that they had their routine, they wanted to come in and run their errands and so on. Then they switched to delivery, and I checked in with them, and one lady, Luann, said, "Oh, this is awesome. I get my groceries delivered, I get my dog food delivered, and now I get my dry cleaning delivered. I love it." And that's been the consensus.
Right, and it goes to a deeper human behavior that I think we all are coming to the understanding of, is like whatever is non-essential, we need to try and automate it.
Exactly.
And whatever is essential, we need to have our direct focus on. So work, family, like those things we need to have direct focus on, but all of the secondary tasks, it can be automated. Let's automate it.
One thing that can be said for COVID is most people kind of reevaluated what was important in their life.
Yeah.
And family and outdoor time, whatever your things that are so important to you, going to the dry cleaners probably isn't one of those. So we've just made your life simpler and given you a little extra free time every week.
Yeah, and let me clarify too, when I say essential and non-essential, I'm not saying it doesn't need to get done. Like, it needs to get done, but do I have to do it?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I have to no one can go to work for me. It'd be awesome if we can figure that out, but we're not there yet. Well,
the bottom line is you don't have to, because we come to you with
exactly.
contact-free pickup and delivery. You don't have to be home. You don't have to greet the driver. You get a text confirmation when we pick your order up, and we get a text confirmation when we order it back to you.
Yeah, and one thing to the viewing audience I want to really stress is, if you go to Snedicor's website, there's a video on the homepage. Last time I checked, it was still there, and it gives you a rundown on literally how the process works front to back, and it's super well done. Who did that video, Jim?
That was done by Mixer Media.
Yeah, Scott Mixer. Yeah, Scott Mixer.
Awesome.
They do a really nice job.
Right.
But yeah, just a really well done video that, like, when I watched it, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of it, is you're just like, oh, that makes sense.
It's a lot of people, they couldn't wrap their head around it, and then they see that and it's like, oh, okay. It was easier. It was just too easy.
Yeah, because they feel like it's gonna be really involved. I got to fill out paperwork and slips, and it's like, no, it's drop
like
off, pick up.
It's really like simple. Autopilot for your clothing care.
Yeah.
And that's another big change, is how we communicate with customers. So we are recording more videos and how-to videos, and over the course of this year, you'll see more videos online on different aspects, and this is how it works.
Yeah. No, it's everything that you would need to know from just an educational perspective is on the website, which is great. So kind of talk to me about the next year. So right now, as it stands, knock on wood, we're moving out of the pandemic, kind of into this endemic phase, they tell me. We'll see how that goes. But what is the next year looking like for Snedicors right now?
Well, the next year is increasing our digital presence, because in a way, we're now a digital company. And, we had ads and we had social media posts and so on, but we don't have that brick and mortar presence, which is huge from a marketing standpoint, from a brand awareness or recognition standpoint. So we're really working on boosting our brand awareness online. Secondly is we've realized that we're not locked into locations now. So we're expanding into new markets like Ann Arbor, like Milford.
Excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. It was just, when you have that mobile system, it's almost like DoorDash for laundry.
Precisely.
So you can drag and drop that model into any market, turn it on, and hopefully gain a lot of traction very quickly.
That's how it's working out. It's like I say, it's easier to manage. It's much less logistics, and we're all very happy that we went that direction.
That's awesome, Jim. So 3 questions I always ask every person that's on this show as of late. This has been a new trend within probably the last month or two. So the first one is, if you could go back to when you first started in your profession, what is 1 or 2 pieces of wisdom that you would give to that kid, that 20-year-old, however old you were when you first started out kind of on this venture, retrospectively, what would you give as some advice to someone just getting rolling?
I'd say get an MBA. Learn business management.
Our friends at Clear University will be very happy to hear you say that. We'll pull that out as a snippet and send it to them.
Anyone can own a business. Anyone can run a business. But, running a business scientifically, there's a steep learning curve if you aren't educated in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you want to scale it, right? If you can stay small and be a one-man band, but the scaling, it takes precision. It takes a lot of effort, right?
It sure does, and especially scaling yet keeping that touch, because that's one thing that we always excelled at, was that personal warmth over the counter, face-to-face with the customer. And that's another thing I'm building in now, is keeping that, but it's more of a digital interaction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The second question is, if you look at all of the technology that's in existence right now, what is your favorite piece of technology?
Oh man, one piece of favorite technology?
Yeah, a couple. You can do a couple.
Well, I love InVideo. I've been creating marketing pieces with software called InVideo.
Okay.
And it made me, I've always felt like I'm a creative person, but I've never been able to create.
Sure.
Suddenly, I'm able to create. And then really, there's so many apps out there like JotForm. We use JotForm for internal tracking of metrics. I have a driver app that they fill out every day, so we know how many stops per mile, how many miles they went, and so on. A production app. So that's just two right off the top of my head. I could probably name 20 more pretty good.
Oh, yeah. And the third question is, what is one thing that you do to relax? So you obviously have, a lot of logistics in your business. You have a lot of things that you're doing, keeping track of. You're growing tremendously. What's one of the things that you do on the hobby side?
Well, when I get out of here this afternoon, I'm hoping to go for a nice long bicycle ride.
Okay.
Yep, hit the gravel roads just west of Brighton.
Keep that tie tucked in.
Yes, sir.
Getting the spokes.
Yep, throw my phone away and go for a ride. That's a big one for me. And it's really important.
Excellent. Where's one of your favorite places to go?
Well, I like the dirt roads just west of Brighton.
Okay.
Brighton Road and Richardson Road and so on. And then I also love the Brighton State Recreation Area if I want to ride single track trails. But I've actually ridden bicycles all over North America and even in Australia for vacations, multi-day tours. That's
excellent. So Jim, what am I missing here? What if people are saying, like, I have dry cleaning, I have a store I go to, or what is usually your X factor to them that gets them to understand the value of what Snedicors offers and delivers to them?
Well, we offer the finest quality dry cleaning and laundry service, bedding, rugs, everything. So they're looking sharp. Their items are ready to put on and go in front of Zoom or now go back in person. It's all contact free. You don't have to be home or greet the driver. We have a 100% money back guarantee. If you're ever unhappy with anything, I'll cheerfully refund your money. And it's convenient. We give you back more free time every week.
I've never heard somebody say, I will cheerfully refund your money. And that's, and again, you and I, we know each other a little bit, so I know that you have a very big heart for service. Mm-hmm. If it's not right, then it's not your standard.
And I can say cheerfully because I can think of one or two times in a decade that I've done that. And I'm just like, maybe it's just not a good fit, and that's fine.
Yeah, and that speaks to how much work you put into that logistical model to make sure everything goes well for the people you're serving.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, Jim, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you stopping in and doing the show.
Well, thanks, Rob. It's always great to see you, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Absolutely. And if people want to know anything about Jim or the fine folks over at Snedicors, all of the information is going to be in the show notes. And I'm telling you, go check out that video. It's really cool. One of my favorite things on that website. So that is going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I appreciate you all watching, and we will catch you on the next one. Take care.